As I've been driving around this week with this 2024 Genesis GV60, a lot of thoughts crossed my mind. I know it happens actually. Specifically, obviously, based on the GV60 itself, where I've been trying to figure out who it's for, where it belongs, where it's gonna end up. And at first I started out with thinking about the concept of a personal luxury vehicle. Like in Europe and the UK, for example, they had something called the executive saloon. But that doesn't quite, I mean, that was anything from like a Ford Mondeo to an Audi A4 or something like that. It was like a company car that was designed, not designed, but leased for executives in the country. Anyway, it didn't quite work. But then thinking about that executive saloon, I started thinking about one very particular model which wasn't offered in Europe, and that's the Infiniti G class, G series, G35, G37, because it is one of those executive saloons, but it developed into something of a cult thing. Well, that's mostly because, you know, the skyline and the link between that car and what was offered in Japan under the Nissan name and all of that. What I'm trying to tell you is that the Genesis GV60 probably won't, because I see so few on the road compared to a G35 or G37 or even a Q50 for that matter. It is a far more pricier vehicle, but it's going to potentially possibly become something of a performance car for, well, I guess, I don't know if other people call it. I don't want to, you know, say that I call the current car generation or current car enthusiast generation the Tesla generation, but let's just call them the Tesla generation, other than the Model 3 Performance. This is going to be like, not, the Model 3 Performance is going to be the BMW 3 Series, okay? That's what I'm trying to say. And this is going to be the Infiniti G for performance enthusiasts in 10 years maybe. Because the GV60 does so many things right. And it flies kind of under the radar, despite the fact that nothing else looks like this, which is one of the best things about it. But literally it flies. And that's one of the things that just completely blows my mind. And not only that, but the level of refinement that Genesis has built into this. And as, you know, the 2025 model year comes up and changes are expected, I can tell you almost exactly where a lot of changes are going to happen, at least as far as I'm concerned, where they're going to take place. And most of them are on the inside, but we can expect some, you know, good upgrades on the outside. The thing is, this is a really, really good vehicle. And it's packed with tech and performance and luxury. It's underappreciated, like the G was back then, until it kind of blew up, what, in the early 2010s? Somewhere around there, I guess. Can't believe it's been almost 15 years since that. But yeah, this is a really, really impressive EV, SUV, crossover, whatever you want to call it. And so, I mean, you've seen these on the road. So in the following video, maybe this will be a slightly shorter video than usual, but in the following video, we'll do a couple of laps of this top trim. Do you know what that is? Genesis GV60. And then we're going to take it for a quiet, blisteringly fast little drive. So please hang in there. And when I do say, you know, there's nothing else like it out there, I mean, I do really mean that. I mean, styling-wise, I mean, there are no overhangs on this, and that still, to this day, impresses. The wheelbase is, what, like 85% of the entire length of the vehicle, which is, I mean, it's surprising. It still looks really, really good, and yes, as you could see, the caption, it's a performance, so it's got the really, really nice 21-inch wheels, the rear spoiler, and it's just, it really, really looks good. I have no negative things to say at all about the styling. The only thing that's kind of annoying are these door handles, but I guess that's an acquired taste. Okay, so in the US, pricing starts at $52,000 because they have a base rear-wheel drive version, and the top trim performance is $69,550. In Canada, well, it's dual motor only, so it starts with the advanced all-wheel drive, $72,500, and this is a performance which is $80,500. It's a considerable amount of money, but you know what, today, I mean, I'm kind of shopping for another family vehicle, and nothing makes sense anymore. I just want 6 seats, and I'm gonna have to end up spending almost 65, maybe even more, $1,000. Well, not spend, but lease a vehicle or buy, I don't know. That costs that much. Anyway, what you do get with the base car is 20-inch wheels, a heat pump, Napa leather, heated cooled front seats, heads-up display, twin 12.3-inch displays. I'll show all that to you in a few moments. Performance adds lots of power. I'll give you the numbers after. Okay, well, the base model is 314 horsepower, 446 pound-feet of torque, and I'll give you the performance numbers right after this. But you do get a sport-tuned, electronically controlled suspension, which is just immense. B&O audio system and the 21-inch wheels. It's just fantastic. Let's just continue the quick tour. I am using it as a family vehicle, so it's serving two purposes kind of this week. 680 liters of trunk space. It's actually quite impressive with the extra space under the floor. It's not very wide, but really usable and very accessible. So yeah, like I said, so it's been kind of tough to try to keep the kids their feet off the white leather, but it's just extremely gorgeous back here. You won't fit another body between the two booster seats, but the amount of space back here is just incredible with the flat floor. And you got your USB-C ports there. I always love this touch in the Korean products where you have the controls for the passenger seat, but you know what happens? The kids play with it. Anyway, nice touch. And then this, so smooth and beautiful. I mean, the interior touches, the graphics on the switchgear are kind of weird. I've kind of grown away from them, grown apart, but everything else is beautiful, beautiful. There's also a frunk, but whatever. Everything. I love how the entire length here could be used as a handle, and then you have a real handle. And this is the mirror control, which is kind of like a joystick. It's just amazing. Attention to detail, the fit finish, the materials, the seats, gorgeous, unbelievably beautiful and comfortable seats with the massaging function. Let's just step on aboard. Okay, so keep in mind what I was saying about kind of the graphics. I think most of the changes are going to be in this whole setup here. It's not old, clearly, because the GV60 hasn't been around that long, but it's not as sophisticated as it probably should be. And the other thing is this. I mean, it's a cute little piece, but more often than not, well, we didn't see it. You know what? I'll just shut it off. Yeah, that's nice. It's nice and all, but see, I started it, and then I'm an impatient man. That's too long for me to have access to drive or reverse or park. Same thing. Like the graphics, the buttons. I mean, they're nice. They're very functional. Everything works. It's really cool. But and then it translates into here into the steering wheel. The spokes are kind of weird, and the buttons are way too big, and it's kind of weird. I guess that's the word. So this is your drive modes. And yes, I can program my mode, but I've been using comfort because it's brilliant, and then occasionally going into that and toying with this button, which is frightening but incredible at the same time. Paddle shifters for the regen braking, which are brilliant, just brilliant. Every automaker, please, none of you watching right now, use them, please. And efficiency, that's not bad at all considering the way I've been driving. And yeah, battery's at 29, so it's going to get a charge tonight. Dual 12.3, so I guess it's going to be a long video anyway. There's not much else to say about it. I guess that's it. Storage, yes, yeah, cooled. I mean, it looks good, but it's accessible. Storage is decent-ish. Good door bins. Visibility is actually not that bad at all. You know, when you come around to here, it's a little bit of a spot. Hello, Corolla Tech. It's been a while, eh? But it's all good. It's all good, and it just gets better on the road. So let's go do that. Sometimes you know, I've said this before in many reviews, you know, taking the top trim just isn't worth the investment in money. Essentially, it's just for fluff. But okay, so there are only 2 versions of the GV60, but the extra 8 grand for the performance is absolutely worth it. So up from 314 horsepower, you're up to 429, and torque goes from 446 to 483. But that's, you know, remember the little orange, yellow boost button? Yeah, it gives you 516 pound-feet of torque when you need it the most, which is all the time, as far as I'm concerned. You know what? There we go. Which is all the time. Okay, these numbers, that max torque number and then HP numbers and all that, are similar or identical to those of the EV9, which I'm long-term testing at this very moment. And just so you know, the EV9 weighs about 800 pounds more than this. And the EV9 is really, really quick. So you can imagine that this thing it's just insane. It's not right. I mean, you feel it's like a ride. It definitely is like a ride at your favorite amusement park. When you're in sport and you give it the boost and you give it the beans, holy crap, does this thing move. The power is incredible. The battery, 77.4 kilowatt hour unit, which won't give you that much range. Like you're lucky if you get 400-ish, but that's the price you pay for this kind of performance. Thankfully, it's capable of 350 kilowatt charging, which means that, you know, if the charging infrastructure doesn't let you down, which is more likely to happen than the actual vehicle, you can go from 10 to 80 in like 18 minutes, 17 minutes and change or whatever, which is incredibly fast. You know, that EV tech is tops. And again, I use the paddle shifters all the time. I feel it's the driving enthusiast in me that feels like maybe I'm, you know, controlling a dual clutch transmission or something like that. It's good for my acceptance of an EV. Same with the one pedal drive and all of that, and the auto hold, and it's just all these little candies that you get with an EV. The ride, the electronically controlled suspension. I mean, usually when you have 21-inch wheels in a not so big vehicle, the ride gets jarring, choppy, or in the case of the EV9, kind of floaty. Still trying to get over that, but not so in the GV60. It's as though the suspension, the tires, the weight of the wheels and the tires, and all of that, it's tuned as one, and it works incredibly well. The only downside to the mechanical grip and the electronic grip and ride control and all that is, despite the 255 section Michelin Primacy tires, which are not sporty by any stretch, but still, you know, there's a lot of rubber on the road. They might squeal on occasion when you know, squeal on occasion, and they do their darndest to keep the power, you know, doing what it's supposed to do, but that's just stupid me. And look, in normal, steering is fine. I mean, I spoke about, you know, my drive mode. I have steering in comfort, and I leave it in comfort because it feels a little bit more natural, despite there's nothing natural about how this thing behaves. Brake pedal is wonderful. I mean, I'm just rambling. I mean, I'm gonna go into sport, and the ride quality is still really good. Absolutely brilliant. I don't know. There are alternatives to this, you know, I don't know, Cadillac Lyriq, Tesla Model Y, and I'm skipping over a bunch, you know, like a top trim Aria, but that doesn't really come close. But it's a nice EV now. At least I've rediscovered it, and there's again a bunch of options. But like on that personal luxury level, or you want something a little bit different, but you want all the performance and all the luxury for a not mind-blowing price, you know, like BMW iX is nice, but it's pricier, and you don't necessarily get much more maybe a little bit extra air on the inside. I don't know. I really liked it the first time around, and I love it this time. It's worth it. For a lease, 3 years, max 4 years. Enjoy it. I mean, I'd get this over a GLB, though I love a GLB. EQB, apologies. I'm trying to think quickly of other electric SUVs, but definitely before a Q4, Q6 though, Q6. That's a handsome looking SUV. Anyway, I'll shut up, okay? Thank you, bye.